Everyone. I wanted to read this to you so that it was easier, and I know that there are audiobooks available free online, but if I read it myself, then I can talk you through it and also help you understand what you need to do for your tasks. So this is a very opening of the novel A Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde. Mr Utterson the lawyer was a man of rugged countenance that was never lighted by a smile. Cold, scanty, and embarrassed in discourse, backward in sentiment, lean, long, dusty, dreary, and yet somehow lovable. At friendly meetings, and when the wine was to his taste, something eminently human beckoned from his eye, something indeed which never found its way into his talk, but which spoke not only in those silent symbols of the after-dinner face, but more often and loudly in the acts of his life. He was austere with himself, drank gin when he was alone to mortify a taste for vintages, and though he enjoyed the theatre, had not crossed the doors of one for 20 years. But he had approved tolerance for others, sometimes wondering almost with envy at the high pressure of spirits involved in their misdeeds, and in any extremity inclined to help rather than reprove. I incline to Cain's heresy, he used to say. I let my brother go to the devil in his quaintly own way. In this character, it was frequently his fortune to be the last reputable acquaintance and the last good influence in the lives of down-going men. And to such as these, so long as they came about his chambers, he never marked a shade of change in his demeanour. So this opening paragraph, we talked a lot about the opening sentence, but this gives us a bit more information about him. And in fact, it shows us that although he himself is austere with himself, which hopefully you looked up that word before listening to this, and although he doesn't himself engage in behaviour that is anything other than respectable, he also has a tolerance for others and other people's misdeeds, in other words, wrongdoing. And there's an allusion here to the Bible. An allusion is a reference to another text, and in this case, Cain is a reference to the Bible story of Cain and Abel, where Cain was a murderer. And he says, I let my brother go to the devil in his own quaintly own way. In other words, I allow other people to do the bad things and I'll just carry on being me. So I'm going to carry on reading. No doubt the feat was easy to Mr. Utterson, for he was undemonstrative at the best, and even his friendship seemed to be founded in a similar catholicity of good nature. It is a mark of a modest man to accept his friendly circle ready-made from the hands of opportunity, and that was the lawyer's way. His friends were those of his own blood, or those whom he had known the longest. His affections, like ivy, were the growth of time. They implied no aptness in the object. Hence, no doubt, the bond that united him to Mr. Richard Enfield, his distant kinsman, the well-known man about town. It was a nut to crack for many, what these two could see in each other, or what subject they could find in common. It was reported by those who encountered them in their Sunday walks that they said nothing, looked singularly dull, and would hail with obvious relief the appearance of a friend. For all that, the two men put the greatest store by these excursions, counted them the chief jewel of each week, and not only set aside occasions of pleasure, but even resisted the calls of business, that they might enjoy them uninterrupted. So now we've got some more information about Mr. Utterson and the fact that he has this friend, Mr. Enfield. And again, it's talking about the fact that he's undemonstrative. That means he doesn't show a lot of feeling or emotion. And that his friends were people who have developed over time. So like ivy with the growth of time. And people couldn't really understand their friendship because they didn't seem to talk very much. It was reported by those who encountered them on their Sunday walks that they said nothing looked singularly dull, but that these men actually really enjoyed these excursions, as they call them, or walks, and counted them the chief jewel of each week. A little metaphor there to show you how they feel, how they value those times together, even if they do spend them just in silence. It kind of shows their restraint and their gentlemanly behaviour. Okay, so I'm going to end there. That's the first 2 paragraphs of chapter 1. And you're going to be asked to pick out 5 descriptions of Utterson and try to link those descriptions to the various ways that Victorian men behave that are listed in Show My Homework.